Stop scrolling right now because the global chessboard just got flipped upside down. Ukraine has just pulled off a move so bold and so dangerous that even the White House is scrambling for answers. We aren't talking about drones over a border town. We are talking about a direct hit against one of the world's most feared regimes, and it has sent shockwaves from Kyiv all the way to Mar-a-Lago. President Trump was briefed on this just moments ago, and the word coming out of Washington is pure disbelief. This is a story that changes everything. You thought you knew about this war. Stay right here because you cannot afford to miss a single second of this breaking report. Before we dive into the heart of this chaos, do yourself a favor. Hit that subscribe button, smash the like, and get ready to drop your thoughts in the comments. You are going to have a lot to say about this one. The world woke up today to a reality that no one, not the generals in the Pentagon, not the spies in the Kremlin, and certainly not the leaders in Tehran, saw coming. For months, we have watched Iran ship lethal drones and missiles to Russia to rain fire down on Ukrainian cities. We all thought Ukraine would just keep playing defense, trying to swat those drones out of the sky. We were wrong. In a move that defines the word audacity, Ukraine didn't just wait for the next shipment. They went after the source. They went after Iran in a way that has left the international community breathless. This wasn't just a tactical strike. It was a massive middle finger to the old rules of war. Ukraine has decided that if you provide the weapons to kill their people, you are no longer a spectator. You are a target. This massive escalation comes at a time when the world was already holding its breath. With President Trump back in the Oval Office, the pressure on all sides to find an ending to this conflict has been at an all-time high. Trump has been vocal about wanting to stop the bleeding and end the forever wars, but Ukraine just threw a massive wrench into those plans. By striking at Iranian interests so directly, Kyiv has signaled to the world that they aren't waiting for a permission slip from Washington anymore. They are taking their survival into their own hands, even if it means crossing lines that were previously thought to be untouchable. The sheer guts required to pull this off is staggering, and the fallout is only just beginning to settle. So, how did they do it? And more importantly, how did they keep it a secret from the most advanced intelligence agencies on the planet? Reports are trickling in of a highly sophisticated operation that bypassed every layer of Iranian security. We are talking about deep penetration strikes that hit exactly where it hurts most. This wasn't a random explosion. This was a surgical removal of a key piece of the Russian-Iranian war machine. The U.S. State Department is reportedly in emergency mode, trying to figure out how their allies managed to keep them in the dark about a move this big. It's a classic case of the student outgrowing the teacher, and the teacher is currently in a state of total shock. The implications of this move are reaching far beyond the borders of Ukraine or Iran. This is a message to every nation currently sitting on the fence. Ukraine is proving that they have the reach, the intelligence, and the absolute will to take the fight wherever it needs to go. For the people on the ground in Iran, the message is clear. Your government's involvement in a distant war has just brought that war to your doorstep. For President Trump, this is a massive test of his America First foreign policy. Does he rein in an ally that has gone rogue, or does he lean into the chaos to force a quicker end to the global instability? The tension in the air is thick enough to cut with a knife, and the next few hours will determine if we are headed for a ceasefire or a total global wildfire. The secret to this operation lies in the shadows. For years, we've heard about Ukraine's elite special forces and their growing tech capabilities, but this move against Iran is on a different level entirely. This was a symphony of destruction that required months of planning and a level of silence that is almost impossible to maintain in the age of satellites and social media. They didn't use massive, slow-moving bombers that can be tracked from space. They used something much more subtle, much more lethal, and much more modern. The Iranians, who pride themselves on their air defense systems, were caught completely off guard. It is a humiliation for Tehran and a terrifying wake-up call for anyone else supplying Moscow with the tools of death. What makes this even more shocking is the timing. We are at a pivot point in history. with the Trump administration looking to recalibrate the U.S. role in global conflicts. Ukraine knew their window for high-risk maneuvers might be closing. They chose this exact moment to prove they are an independent power, capable of striking thousands of miles away from the front lines in Donbass. This move tells the world that Ukraine is not just a proxy, they are a primary player. They have effectively told the global powers that, while you discuss peace deals in fancy rooms, we are busy making sure our enemies can't sleep at night. It's a bold gamble that could either lead to a breakthrough or a breakdown of the entire international order. But let's talk about the reaction from the Kremlin. Vladimir Putin has relied on Iran as his primary lifeline. Without those shed drones, the Russian military strategy in Ukraine takes a massive hit. By targeting the Iranian connection, Ukraine has effectively cut off the oxygen to the Russian invasion. Putin is now facing a crisis he can't ignore. His most reliable partner has been hit, and he couldn't do a thing to stop it. This puts the Russian leader in a corner. Does he double down on his support for Iran, or does he start looking for an exit strategy now that his supply chain is being dismantled by a country he claimed would fall in 3 days? The irony is as heavy as the smoke rising over the target sites. Inside the halls of the U.S. Capitol, the mood is one of frantic questioning. Members of the Trump administration are demanding to know how Ukraine pulled this off without a single leak reaching U.S. intelligence. There is a sense of informed frustration, a weird mix of being impressed by Ukraine's capability and terrified of the geopolitical consequences. President Trump, known for his unpredictable style, now has to manage an ally that is being even more unpredictable than he is. This isn't just about Ukraine and Russia anymore. This is now a Middle Eastern crisis, a European crisis, and a massive headache for the United States, all wrapped into one. As we look at the smoke clearing from this unprecedented strike, one thing is certain. The rules of the game have been rewritten in permanent ink. Ukraine has gone from a nation fighting for its life on its own soil to a regional power capable of projecting force across continents. The shock we are seeing in the U.S. and around the world is the sound of a new reality set in. Iran is vulnerable. Russia is isolated. And Ukraine is more dangerous than anyone ever dared to imagine. We are watching history happen in real time. And the next move on this board could be the most important one of our lives. Stick with us, because this story is evolving by the minute, and we are just getting started. The tension is rising to a boiling point because what happens next could rewrite the history books forever. We are just looking at a hole in the ground in Iran. We are looking at a hole in the entire global security system. For decades, there was a silent agreement. You don't touch the suppliers. You fight the war on the battlefield, not in the factories thousands of miles away. Ukraine just tore that agreement into shreds. They have signaled to every silent partner in this war that the shadow you're hiding in isn't dark enough. The panic in Tehran is real. They are realizing that their own streets are no longer safe because of a war they thought they were just sponsoring from a distance. Inside the Kremlin, the phone lines are burning up. Putin is finding out that his alliance with Iran might be more of a liability than an asset right now. Think about it. If Ukraine can reach Iran, they can reach anywhere. This strike has exposed a massive gap in the defenses of the so-called axis of resistance. It turns out the weapons being sent to destroy Kyiv were being guarded by people who never expected a counterpunch. This is a massive blow to the ego of the Russian military. They told the world they had the skies locked down, yet their biggest partner just got blindsided. The bluff has been called, and the stakes have never been higher for the Russian leadership. Now, let's look at the man in the center of the storm, President Trump. He's in a position no president has ever been in. He campaigned on bringing peace through strength and ending the flow of American billions overseas. But now, an ally has taken a massive, independent leap that could drag the U.S. into a much larger conflict. Trump is known for respecting tough moves, but this one puts his America First policy to the ultimate test. Does he scold Ukraine for acting without his say-so, or does he use this new leverage to force Russia and Iran to the table? The world is watching his social media and his official statements, waiting for a signal that will either calm the waters or turn them into a tsunami. While the politicians scramble, the military experts are scratching their heads at the sheer technical brilliance of this operation. To hit these targets, Ukraine had to bypass some of the most sophisticated radar systems in the world. Systems designed by Russia and China specifically to stop Western tech. This suggests that Ukraine has developed its own black box technology that the world didn't know existed. It's a game changer. If Ukraine can do this today, what can they do tomorrow? The fear isn't just about what was destroyed. It's about the fact that nobody saw it coming. We are entering an era of ghost warfare, where the front line is everywhere and nowhere at the same time. But let's get down to the human element. The Iranian leadership is now facing a massive internal crisis. How do they explain this to their own people? They spent billions on defense, yet they couldn't protect their most sensitive sites from a country that is supposedly on the brink of collapse. This strike has fueled the fire of dissent within Iran, making the regime look weak and vulnerable. It's a psychological victory for Ukraine that is just as important as the physical destruction. They've shown the world that the big bad powers can be touched, can be hurt, and can be humiliated by a nation that refuses to back down. As we move into this new, uncertain chapter, the big question is, what is the red line now? For years, the U.S. and its allies were terrified of escalation. They gave Ukraine weapons with strings attached. Don't hit this, don't go there. Ukraine just took those strings and cut them. They've decided that the only way to end the war is to make it too expensive for the people funding it. It's a high-stakes poker game where Ukraine just pushed all their chips into the middle. Even if the U.S. didn't expect this, they now have to deal with the fallout. The shock isn't just a headline. It's a fundamental shift in how the 21st century will be fought. The ripple effects are hitting the global markets too. Oil prices are twitching, and defense stocks are jumping. Investors are realizing that the localized war in Ukraine has officially gone global. The fear is that Iran might retaliate not against Ukraine, but against shipping lanes or oil fields in the Middle East. This is the nightmare scenario that the Trump administration is working overtime to prevent. We are seeing a masterclass in high-wire diplomacy right now, where one wrong word could trigger a chain reaction that hits every gas station and grocery store in America. This is why this move by Ukraine is the biggest story of the year. It hits your wallet just as hard as it hits the headlines. So where do we go from here? The next 48 hours are critical. We are waiting to see if this was a one-off strike or the beginning of a sustained campaign against Russia's allies. If Ukraine continues this path, they are essentially declaring war on the entire supply chain of the Russian invasion. It's a bold, terrifying, and brilliant strategy all rolled into one. They are forcing the world to choose. Do you support the status quo of a slow, grinding war, or do you support a fast, violent disruption that might actually lead to an end? There are no easy answers, and the silence from some world capitals is deafening as they try to pick a side. As we wrap up this breaking report, remember this: the map of the world was redrawn today. Ukraine has proven that they are not just a victim of geography, they are a master of it. They have reached across borders, across seas, and across the expectations of the greatest superpowers on earth. President Trump is facing a defining moment of his presidency, and the Iranian and Russian leaders are looking over their shoulders like never before. The world is shocked because the world underestimated the will of a people who have nothing left to lose. This is the breaking point. This is the moment everything changed. Make sure you stay tuned to this channel as we continue to track every development in this rapidly unfolding crisis. We are getting new reports every hour about troop movements and diplomatic cables that are changing the narrative as we speak. This isn't just news. It's the future happening right in front of us. Don't forget to hit that notification bell so you're the first to know when the next update drops. What do you think? Did Ukraine go too far? Or was this the only way to win? Sound off in the comments below. I'm Jack Bobby, and this has been the most important news you'll see all week. Stay sharp, stay informed, and I'll see you on the next one.